Hi there. For today's craft with me, I'm going to be working on something I've wanted to do for a while, and I finally got around to it. I just ordered and received this new stencil material from Expressions Vinyl. It's called Oramask 813. Let me show you what it looks like. I got several sheets of it, but apparently it's supposed to be the best material to use for stenciling. So I'm going to give it a shot and see how it works. For this project, I'm going to be using this, the Oramask stencil material. I'm going to be using my transfer tape. I have 3 different canvases, lots of paintbrushes, a paint palette, got a cup of water here off to the side, and the 3 colors I'm using today are red, green, and yellow. So I'm going to clear this off because I need to start with painting. So once I have my canvases drying, what I'm going to start working on is the design I'm going to put in them. So how I always like to start is to take a look at what I'm going to be working with. So since I have 3 different canvases, I'm going to actually just create the canvases right here for me to work with. So those canvases are 8 inches wide by 10 long. So I'll put those up here. And I basically do this so that when I create my design, I know it's going to work and be situated right. So I'm going to make 2 of these. Copy 2 more. Alright, now for the design itself, first actually let me change the colors of these to the general colors of my design. So the first one is red. The second one is going to be yellow, and the third one green. Now these aren't the exact shades of the colors at all. I just like to get a general feel for it. So the design I've decided to go with is actually going to be a continuous design that goes across all these 3 of these, and with a little gap, of course, here in the middle. So I just found a design online. It's an elephant silhouette. I really just Googled that, so I'm just going to pull that up. Since I'm not using, and I don't need a high quality picture of it, I'm just going to trace it. I'm just going to drag it so I can use it. So here it is. It's a really cute, just 3 elephants walking. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and trace these. The first thing I like to do is, of course, select all of it, and just using threshold, I'm going to trace and detach. Basically, I'm getting rid of this background right here. So once you have it detached, you're still going to see some of that old watermark, and select it again. The best way I found to get rid of it is to, instead of using a high pass filter or using threshold, is using the low pass filter and just adjusting it until you get it where you want it. And this is where I'd like it. I'm going to trace that outer edge again. And then you can see you've got yourself this beautiful elephant silhouette. I'm going to go ahead and fill this in. I'm going to be painting them in black, so I'm going to fill that in just to get a good look at it. And then the important thing is to position it the right size. And that's the main reason I had these 3. So let's first of all take these 3 and align them to each other. So I'm going to align it to the top and space them out horizontally perfectly. And then I'm going to get a feel for where I want them. So I don't want them exactly 100% centered around across the middle, but I think this is a good look for it. And since these parts of the elephant won't be there, I'm going to go ahead and put some boxes in there just for me to get a feel for what it's going to look like without that there. So give me 1 second and I will work on that. Alright, so it still looks pretty great without all of that there. I think it's going to be a really cool design, especially once I put it on the wall. So this is how I've made my design. Okay, so once I have this, I'm going to need to cut it. I have a silhouette portrait, not the cameo, so it's much smaller, and I prefer using a mat to put everything through, so I don't ever just feed the vinyl through, which means that I can't just cut this as one big thing, which does get frustrating at times, and I know that's one of the reasons I should probably get to working on making or using the vinyl without a mat. But until then, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and cut along these lines to get these 3 distinct images that I can go ahead and use. So I'm not too picky about making it perfect. So I'm just going to go ahead and take this knife tool that's over here, start at the tip as I can up here, and I press shift to make it go straight, and I cut. So it's processing. So here I have my very first piece of this. So I'll move that aside, and I will get to the rest now. I'm going to play around with these and then cut them one at a time on my portrait. Okay, so now I have this cut out on the silhouette. You can't really see the design, but I am using the Oramask 813 stencil film. This is actually my first time using it. I usually just use vinyl and it's still really rough, so hopefully this will go better. I'm going to use painter's tape for when I put it on my canvas. So first I'm going to start off with weeding it. Usually when I weed vinyl, I use my X-Acto knife, but this is such a huge design. I don't think it's going to be a big deal to just pull it off. Since we're using it as a stencil, we're going to reverse weed, meaning we pull up our design. So I'm just going to find an edge here. So it's definitely, I use the same settings I usually use for vinyl, but I might in the future use thicker settings. Well, so far it's coming up okay except for that corner. Got a little bit of a cut there, but that's fine. I'm not very much of a perfectionist. So this part didn't really cut all the way through, so I'm just going to cut that off myself. It looks fine. So, get rid of my scrap. I think that looks okay. I'm going to go ahead and grab my transfer tape and come right back. So I went ahead and I grabbed my transfer tape. I'm using clear transfer tape from Expressions Vinyl. It's a giant roll and it's lasted me a while. I'll include a link down below. I'm going to grab some. I don't need the transfer tape to cover the entire design, just because it's usually enough, especially when you've got one solid piece like this, just to have enough. And I'll reuse this transfer tape to pick up all my designs. That across there, and I'm trying to place it as much as I can down here near the bottom since I've got those parts there. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the mat that this is going to go on, the canvas I mean. Peel up some edges, hopefully. So I'm going to peel up some of these edges, and this transfer tape is hopefully going to help me out there. Set that aside. And now comes the placement. So this first one, however I place it, is how I'll have to base the other ones off of. So I'm going to start by laying down this edge just because this design will have to meet the edge of the other one. And I want to leave a little bit of room there on the edge. And then I'm just gonna set it down. The biggest issue I found with stenciling, at least when I use vinyl, is first of all, air bubbles. Those are terrible because they mean your design is gonna come up. And then the second one is getting them to stick. So this doesn't look like it's gonna be a problem because the vinyl, it's usually like, it's terrible. But this so far is super nice. Oh, wow. That's great. It just stuck on there. I love using stencils, but I use vinyl for it, and it's just god-awful because it comes up. It's a nightmare to put down, especially when you have intricate designs. It's just impossible. So I'm going to set this aside because I'm going to use it for the rest of them. And I'm not using like a squeegee or an applicator tool or anything like that just because I don't really think I need it for a design that this is this hole, if you will. So I'm going to just set that across there. This is really nice. So far, I'm really liking this. I always just have issues with vinyl. So I'm going to go ahead and bring out my paint. I'm going to paint this black and get back to you. This is the big reveal, if you will. I'm gonna peel up this I guess not vinyl, but stencil material, and see how it worked. I know right here along the crease, some of it bled through because I saw it pop up. I didn't lay that down well, so that's something I'm gonna need to do better on my next ones. But let's peel this up and see how it worked. Oh wow, I don't know if you can tell, but these lines right here are just super crisp. Which is nice. It's what you want out of a stencil. So far, looking great. I know I should have used some painter's tape to cover that up. Or been more careful. Messed up a little here in the corner, but I can clean that up pretty easily. Oh. It's a little stuck. That looks great. That is better than anything I have ever been able to produce with a vinyl stencil. And not by a little bit, by a lot. I'll have to clean up some of these areas. That's why I have these smaller paintbrushes out over here. And clean up some of those areas where I got outside of the lines. But other than that, this one looks amazing, and I can't wait to do the other two. Alright, so it doesn't all fit in the frame, but I basically have all three of these dried. They look really cute, and I have only a few touch-ups left to finish. So the last two things I'm going to do before I finish up this project and first clean up the areas. You can see a little bit here, there's some black that came through. Some of the edges aren't as clean as I'd like them to be. So I'm going to fix those, and then I'm going to paint the edges here. I couldn't decide if I wanted to do all the edges black or if I wanted to do them a color of the canvas. And it was decided for me because I don't have enough black paint at my house right now to do all the edges in black. So I'm gonna tape up some of these edges and along the front here, and then go in and paint all the edges in red, green, and yellow, and then clean these up, and I'll show you the finished product. So here is the completed project. It's just laying out on a table in my dining room. And all in all, this took me 3 days to complete. I didn't do the days consecutively. I didn't do the days consecutively just because I had work and other things come up. But you can easily do this in 3 days. On the first day, I painted the 3 canvases. On the second day, I cut out the stencil and painted it black. And then on the third day, I did the edges and some of the cleanup around the stencil design. And the reason that I waited with that is I found when using stencils of any kind that you want the layer underneath to be as dry as possible. So at least 12 hours in between painting the original layer and then putting on the stencil is recommended. So my thoughts on the stencil material are basically it's a godsend. I've been using vinyl as a stencil for at least a year, and I'd basically given up on making anything with clean lines, and definitely given up on selling anything that I stencil or making anything for gifts. So anything I've used stencils for is just for personal use at home, and it's never perfect. Just because I'd only had vinyl to use, and I've used freezer paper as well, but no matter what I've tried, it's just been too hard to use. So I'm so grateful that I was able to find this stencil material and that it's so easy to use. I'm definitely going to go do more work with it. I have several sheets left that I bought with the original purchase, and I'll most likely buy a large roll of this stuff just because it's so easy to use. I'm definitely going to make some presents for some people with summer coming up and a lot of birthdays and my friend and family. I'm going to make some more presents with this, and it's definitely worth it to buy. I'll link down below where you can get it, but this stencil material is worth it. And I might even try making stuff to sell with this. Later on, I've tried it now on canvas. I'm going to try it on wood next, maybe some glass or acrylic. And I know I have a doormat project I've been leaving behind, so I might try it with this or continue with freezer paper. I'm not sure. Whatever I make, I'll probably make a video about it and post it on my channel. Other than that, this specific project is just for personal use, just because it was my first attempt and there are some issues with it. I might put this up in my living room. I've got a corner with some space, or in my craft room. I haven't decided yet. But I'll probably post a picture of it and link it below, post it on my Instagram. Until then, I'm going to link below every material I used. It might not be a direct link to where I got it from, but at least specifics on the sizing. I can also include or send to anybody the cut file for the silhouette if they would like it. Other than that, please leave back any feedback and let me know if you guys have had any luck with this or other stencil material, because I'm getting back into stenciling. Thanks for watching.